The networks of intelligence operatives who oversaw my mind control experimentation and programming were part of networks of Freemasons connected to the Hellfire Clubs. Indeed, Buckinghamshire is the home of the Hellfire Clubs. Indeed, the Hellfire Caves are in Buckinghamshire, and the original networks of the Hellfire Clubs in the 1700s had many sites that they used for black operations in Buckinghamshire. Indeed, one of the most notorious, Sir Francis Dashwood, who had his own network of Hellfire Club initiates known as the Monks of Medmenham Abbey, he was a prominent British intelligence operative and at one point was spying on the Russian court for British intelligence. Indeed, these Hellfire Club networks instituted programming mechanisms on me and basically uploaded several programming mechanisms to my brain, whereby I was basically a mind controlled slave of the Hellfire Clubs over the years. Thereby, I was effectively an asset of British intelligence, but controlled and monitored by Hellfire Club initiates. Indeed, it wouldn't surprise me that the Hellfire Club first learned of me and decided to use me for programming due to my acquaintance with Hellfire Club Graham, who at the time I did not know he was a Hellfire Club initiate, but over time I've begun to realize that much of his exploitation of me was connected to his Hellfire Club initiations, and thereby when I entered the University of Buckingham, which is a corporate front for intelligence operations overseen by the Hellfire Clubs, when I entered this institution, I was already in the process of being picked out and targeted for mind control experimentation. Indeed, whether or not the credentials were established by the Tavistock Institute, I do not know, but I have surmised that the Tavistock Institute psychiatrists would have analysed my mental state that was already exhibiting schizoid tendencies and thence approved my recruitment, so to speak, for the mind control experimentation that was going on in the vaults beneath the University of Buckingham buildings and the Grenville Lodge, Masonic Lodge, which is on the site of the University of Buckingham. Indeed, the University of Buckingham as an institution is Masonic, and the Hellfire Club networks there are also engaged in various forms of psychotronic torture. Indeed, the first time I ever felt psychotronic microwave beams being used on me was at the beginning of 2012 when I had just enrolled in the University of Buckingham institution. And I did not know it at the time that I was being attacked with beams because I was a very naive 21-year-old and I did not understand at all what was going on. However, at that point, soon after, I started having visions and was picking up on many synchronicities going on and was convinced very quickly that something was not right at the University of Buckingham. Indeed, the University of Buckingham is built on a specific location on a star grid between the universities of Cambridge and Oxford. And this is all British intelligence chicanery. But the specific network that runs the University of Buckingham is the Hellfire Club networks, who are some of the most diabolical intelligence operatives of the British intelligence nexus. Indeed, the Hellfire Clubs still engage in ritual sacrifice, and it wouldn't surprise me if they are still engaging in ritual sacrifice in the vaults and crypts of the University of Buckingham. Indeed, I have vague recollections of being forced to witness a ritual sacrifice, and I'm pretty sure that the Hellfire Clubs killed a girlfriend of mine, though my memory of it is rather patchy due to the intelligence machinations used against my brain over the years and memory erasure. And I expect it will not be until I'm in my 40s that I really begin to remember exactly what happened at Grenville Lodge in the years 2012 and 2013. Indeed, the networks of the Hellfire Clubs form an elite network of British intelligence operatives. They at times engage in Nazi fetishism, but their vibe is darker than the networks of British intelligence connected to the Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst. Indeed, these Hellfire Club networks are effectively druidic networks, and as I have stated, there was much crossover in the early 1700s between the Hellfire Clubs, the Grand Lodge of English Freemasons, and the Ancient Order of Druids. All of these networks interlinked together. Indeed, it seems that the Hellfire Clubs are one of the controlling networks of British intelligence and are really an elite group. Indeed, they tap literally the most elite families' offspring in a similar way to Skull and Bones and networks like that. But the Skull and Bones are a German intelligence front, and the Hellfire Clubs have been infiltrated by German interests, undoubtedly, but this is very much a British Druid network. And it seems that these networks of the Hellfire Clubs are very much engaged in torture and the creation of sex slaves also. Indeed, I believe at one point I was tapped to be some sort of sexual slave basically for the Hellfire Clubs. However, that didn't quite work out according to plan because I was basically uncontrollable for the Hellfire Club networks. They could not control me. And by the beginning of 2013, I'd started going around the town of Buckingham and getting people to listen to me in pubs by standing on tables and gesturing them to come and listen to me. And then I would start explaining the fact that the university professors and the masons at the university were sacrificing people underneath the buildings, which pretty much was going on, and that they were transplanting their souls of the dead victims into cats, which links to my schizophrenic cats on Thorazine, the Sinister Underworld of Spies and Madmen video. But I'm not quite too sure about that theory, but it seemed logical at the time. Indeed, there was certainly much diabolical activity going on, and the Hellfire Clubs are effectively the British arm of a network that includes the trafficking rings of the Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst and the Jesuit Order. And the Hellfire Clubs are the British branch of those networks. And as I've stated, they do practice a degree of Nazi fetishism. However, I'm not entirely sure of their overall interests. However, they are some of the most dangerous of the British intelligence network operatives. And The Hellfire Club networks consist of many cannibals, necrophiles, and ritual sadists, basically. And they control the lower level satanic covens, such as the Order of Nine Angles. No one in the Order of Nine Angles would ever be tapped to become part of the Hellfire Clubs, but the Hellfire Clubs oversee these networks of covens. And the Order of Nine Angles are Nazi fetishists and basically form the nexus of various networks of satanic covens that operate as hives of British and German intelligence programming, ritual abuse, mind control torture, and the smuggling of narcotics. And these networks all pay tribute to the intelligence agencies, which leads all the way up to the Hellfire Club network centred in Buckinghamshire. Indeed, the Grenville Lodge number 1787 is a key Hellfire Club Masonic lodge, and the University of Buckingham that it spawned is a corporate front for intelligence operations, specifically those of the Hellfire Club networks of the British intelligence services. Indeed, these are elite cadres of MI5, MI6, naval intelligence, etc. And these networks are creating the slaves that are basically used by intelligence agencies and mafias for smuggling and as sexual objects, etc. And the creation of the slaves requires druidic mind control programming, which is used in tandem with the mind control programming and shattering that was the expertise of the Nazi psychiatrists. Indeed, all of this links back up to the Tavistock Institute. Indeed, the Tavistock Institute would have had much influence from the Hellfire Clubs. And it's interesting to look at the way the Hellfire Clubs basically became public knowledge in Britain over the 1700s. And there is undoubtedly a link between the Hellfire Clubs and the Bavarian Illuminati. Thereby, the Bavarian Illuminati was most probably overseen at some point by operatives of the Hellfire Clubs, headquartered in Buckinghamshire. And the students of the University of Buckingham, I believe many of them were involved in the intelligence machinations, especially those being used against me, as they basically covered up the fact that I'd had this very attractive blonde girlfriend who I believe the Hellfire Clubs killed. And my memory of that time was erased, and I'm only having fragmented memories of it now, and this is 14 years almost after this time. And they basically covered up the fact that I'd had this girlfriend and attempted to shut down my exposures of the networks of Freemason Hellfire Club initiates running the University of Buckingham through the Grenville Lodge number 1787 Masonic Institution. Indeed, I believe that this girlfriend of mine was part of some sort of anti-Hellfire Club network, and she'd basically found me and started to unwind. This was in my early days of being programmed. She started to unwind my programming, and we'd begun to basically expose much of the goings on at the University of Buckingham. And eventually, I believe we were only together for 2 or 3 months, they had killed her. And I was put into a state of narcosis and hypnosis. And my memory of that time was erased by these Hellfire Club psychiatrists and sorcerers. And this all led to a series of events that ended up with me leaving the country, whereby I ended up in the Balkans. And indeed, I believe Serbian intelligence thought I was an absolute lunatic, and so they gave me a wide berth. And effectively, at certain points, I was operating for them, though I'm not quite sure exactly what was going on. Indeed, they'd have recognized the fact that I'd sprung to Serbia from the headquarters of the Hellfire Clubs. Being intelligence operatives, they would know about this. And therefore, they would have been thinking, what on earth is this? It's a lunatic who's had a certain amount of mind control programming, so we'll see what happens. Indeed, it seems that various intelligence agencies have just been watching me and seeing how I behave for all of these years. And then I returned to the United Kingdom and basically was railroaded into the Gladio 2 program with a certain amount of programming. So the words and philosophies that were coming from my mouth basically resembled those of the Order of Nine Angles. There was a certain degree of Nazi fetishism that had been implanted in me basically by the Hellfire Club networks, who picked me up as soon as I had returned to the United Kingdom and basically put me into circulation, whereby I would operate as a kind of Manchurian candidate, but for the normalization of the ethno nationalist ideology with a Nazi tangent to it, thereby the basically philosophical so called awakenings that are occurring now amongst the conservative and far right networks in Britain would basically not be seen as in any way absurd. And thereby, I was effectively just a decoy in a way to bring about these fundamental shifts and the polarization of politics in the United Kingdom. Thereby, I was a mind controlled operative of the far right without wanting to be one. So I was always in two minds, because at times I'd start breaking out of my programming and start figuring out exactly what was going on, and was thinking, like, these things I'm saying, they're not deeply ingrained within my soul. So none of it really made sense. And it was all Hellfire Club operations, Hellfire Club covert operations. And this began overseen by the Scottish Rite Foundation for Schizophrenia Research, who are specialists in the schizophrenic mind, though they don't actually truly understand it. Indeed, only the schizophrenic understands the schizophrenic mind. These Masons and Hellfire Club operatives can do as much studying of the schizophrenic mind as they wish, but they can never truly penetrate it. Even though they have technology that can now measure brain patterns and read thoughts, they cannot truly understand the schizophrenic soul, no matter how hard they try to. And it's interesting, as a mind controlled operative of the Hellfire Clubs, to be able to now figure out that I was a mind controlled operative of the Hellfire Clubs and start moving against this network that absolutely terrify me. And it may not be as simple as I have been blaming Wiltshire Police and MI5 security services for my incarceration. Indeed, it was more than likely the Hellfire Clubs at the top of the chain. However, I'm kind of afraid to really mention them and talk about them at length due to their overarching domination of British intelligence and basically of who they are. They are seriously some of the scariest people I have ever encountered. Indeed, I only know the majority of them under code names. I haven't yet figured out their real names. It takes time to come across exactly who these people are with some internet research, but the Hellfire Clubs are still active, and basic texts regarding the Hellfire Clubs just make them out to be a drinking club. But they were not, they were an elite intelligence network. They controlled the postal service of the United Kingdom. Indeed, Sir Francis Dashwood was Postmaster General at one point, and he was deeply interconnected with Benjamin Franklin, the United, one of the founders of the United States. However, he was a initiate of the British Hellfire Clubs, and at his home in London were recently found the skeletons of numerous children dating back to during his tenure there that was part of Hellfire Club rituals, whereby the Hellfire Clubs engage in ritual sacrifice and often cannibalism. And this is continuing and continues in the vaults and the crypts beneath the University of Buckingham, which, as I've stated, is a corporate front for intelligence operations coordinated by Masons of Grenville Lodge number 1787, who are initiates of the Hellfire Clubs, therefore some of the most deranged and dangerous networks of intelligence operatives in the United Kingdom, who are basically running the show and connect to the networks of the Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst and their Jesuit pets, basically. It all links together. Indeed, I'm not entirely sure of how the Hellfire Club directly linked to the Bavarian Illuminati networks and the influence that the Hellfire Clubs would have had in Germany at that time, therefore linking to the Bad Housekeepers Guild. But I'm sure there is a connection in there somewhere, as there is between the Hellfire Clubs and the Tavistock Institute. But I will get to that in the future. I'm going to leave it there.